All right, it should be on. I'll see if I can get this stupid thing to work.
Okay, we're good to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I might ask us to stop at some point, see if I can switch this over. Because the audio isn't as good for this because it doesn't have that microphone, but it
Gotcha.
should work.
Okay.
You want the microphone on?
It's, this thing won't, the app keeps crashing, but the iPad's going, so.
Okay. It's 7:09 on December 15th, 2021. Go ahead and call the meeting to order and recognize any visitors that are with us that would like to be recognized. If you guys want to be recognized, go ahead and state your name.
Denise Holland, Cynthia Sillian, Casey Monge,
Andy O'Neill, Department of Ecology.
Stan Roth.
Jess Silhan.
Tim Campaw.
Scott McGowan.
Thank you guys.
Got it.
I'm hiding
Oh,
behind you. Joe are on.
all right. Thank you guys. Jerry, did you send out minutes? Or is it, this is just, so I was trying to find, I must have missed them.
I don't have them.
Yeah, they're here.
You got them?
They're on the yesterday's email. He said it's council meeting, December 15th is the title.
You have copies of them for the public?
no,
I got an agenda for the 15th.
So go back, hit done up there,
Would we like a copy for the public?
hit done.
So
And that last one there.
I would.
Okay.
Agendas.
No, that's, yeah, this one here.
Okay.
This is,
now, paperwork reduction.
Paper tree.
I have a correction to the December 7th minutes when you're ready.
Okay, go ahead.
Under approving minutes from the prior meetings, it says a motion for the 29th, November 29th was made by myself and seconded by Councilman Budrus. I actually, both myself and Levi Schenk abstained from that, so I did not make that motion, and it passed 3-0-2. So I don't know who made the I don't have those notes with me
Okay.
now, but I think it might have been copied from the previous one, because it's 20
The
seconds
motion
says
and the second needs to be,
up, yes, and then the past, it was, I said both Levi and I were not here for that meeting, so we abstained.
okay.
I also think on the mayor update, the fire truck, it says a buyer has agreed to purchase the fire truck in January. I don't know if that's really the case. A buyer shown interest in possibly. I wouldn't say he or she has agreed.
A definite.
Okay.
Can I bum a look off of yours since my iPad is unavailable at the moment? Before I vote on this.
Your correction, Justin, was to December
I
7
can't even see
minutes?
it.
Yes.
The December 7, minutes, and then on the approval of minutes for the November 29th meeting, it says that I made the motion, but I actually abstained, so I know I didn't make the motion, but it ended up passing 3-0-2. I don't
Cause
know,
you guys were the two.
I don't know who made the motion. I don't say.
I seconded it, but I could have swore.
It was either Peter or Steven.
Can't say that I remember. I would
I don't remember
suggest
either.
consulting
The tape.
the recording.
I have it written down on my notes, but I didn't bring them, so.
Okay. How do we want to just reword the fire truck?
A buyer shown interest or something maybe,
Okay.
or?
A potential buyer for the fire truck.
And then for the executive session, I would just have a note after that that says the council reconvened at 10:15.
There should also be a note in there on the topic.
for the topic, so you have personnel, to discuss personnel issues.
Okay. Do we want to approve those with corrections, or just wait for another meeting? We can correct them.
Oh, I don't,
Approve as corrected.
Yeah, either way you
I'll
guys
make the
want to do
motion.
it. Okay. Let's see these.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve with corrections that were stated by Justin and seconded by Peter. Any more discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor of approving with the corrections, signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
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 I'll abstain. It won't change the, I can't see it at the moment, so.
Okay.
But it won't change the result.
Motion passes 3-0-1. Approval of bills. Did you guys get sent bills either?
Where the heck was
It's in that December 15th email. You have that one? Right, it's right at the very top, the one that we just looked at. It's that check register there.
I had another email that had more than that on it.
Just had a question on the first one, Harrington Truck and Auto. It just says expenses between 13/31 and 11/29. Maybe that's supposed to be 10/31 in the memo section for the back truck repair.
Yes,
Yep.
correct.
Number 965.
Is that
Okay.
10/31?
Yeah,
Okay.
and there's a bill on there for some. The big portion of the bill was labor for fixing the Vector truck, the cylinder on the back and the back gate.
The big portion of the 3380. You talking Harrington Auto, Truck and Auto?
Yes.
I assume the Home Depot, the date is obviously yesterday, but that's the credit card that, so it says like Public Works Supplies, that's probably made by our two prior former.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. I have a motion to approve the bills.
Second.
Okay. Any more discussion? Pretty short, just because the meetings are close together, so. Any more discussion on the bills? All in favor of approving the bills as read, signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion passes 4-0. Thank you, guys. Okay, we have two of our guests with us, Andy and Casey, and I will turn it over to you. I was gone last week. I know both of you guys have talked to Jerry here and possibly Jess as well, so I will give you guys the floor and let you go.
Sure. Well, my name's Andy O'Neill. I'm with the Department of Ecology. I was here last week, I actually did, kind of a cold call, I was in the area. What I do is I'm a wastewater operator, I'm a technical assistance provider, and I cover all of eastern Washington, and I go around to about 150 different municipal wastewater treatment plants. So your treatment plant, it has a permit by the state, and that kind of helps fund my position, and I'm kind of like a wastewater coach. And I go around and I help small towns stay in compliance with their permit. And I had heard some scuttle, that you guys had, I met one of your operators, you know, what, a couple months ago, and then I had heard that that person was gone, and I was doing work nearby, so I go, you know, I'm just gonna swing through there, knock on the door, and come in and see kind of where we're at. And that's when I met Jerry, and then I basically was like, hey, kind of marketing myself, saying, this is who I am, we've got some new faces potentially coming in, wanted to make sure you guys still had a contract operator, and then it's like, yeah, we still have Casey, and then that made me just go, whew, feels good, because right now we have, honestly, in the wastewater side, we see a lot of operators either retiring, and we're not getting them to be filled, and we require certain certifications. And then the other one is hard just to maintain operators in small towns. So I recognize that. And one of the biggest things I heard just during that conversation with Jess and Jerry was, yeah, we're gonna hire somebody, we're gonna get somebody. And then the first thing I wanted to say was, time out, hold the pump brakes. Don't hire somebody just to satisfy ecology's requirement, to be in compliance with an operator on your permit. You already have one. We recognize though that in your permit, there's a lot of things you have to do. And I'm not gonna cover them all right here, but I just wanted to open up the discussion to say that you guys are okay. I would not hurry up and go hire somebody to satisfy our requirement for a level 1 operator, even though you're required to. However, I would say take your time and make sure you pick the right employee for your town. And I'll have that backing all the way from our office. We require a level 2 operator, and a level 1 is a backup. Right now, you have a level 2 operator, it's a contract operator, that makes us feel very happy in our office. We still recognize that you need a level 1, but there was some turnover. So we're not in a hurry to have you just fill a position, to have a warm body to not be in trouble with ecology. We don't want that at all. I'd rather have you take like 6 months and maintain a level 2 to oversee stuff, and put together a plan in that 6 months that you can articulate to the state to say, these are our efforts moving forward, this is how we're gonna advertise, this is our plans for responsibilities. I wouldn't do anything before the end of the year. I think it'd be foolish just to go hire somebody for our requirements specifically. You have one, a level 2, you hire a contract operator as a professional operator, this is your go-to person. You're not in trouble with anything at the state, it's just more of an FYI to use your money wisely, make sure that you know how the game's played with ecology. We want a level 1 also to partner up with the 2, but not at the expense that it's gonna cause financial problems and no long-term benefit to the town. So we would rather have, you know, instead of having high turnover, we'd rather cultivate somebody here locally that really enjoys doing that work, and we'll work with you to get certified. So maybe in the next 6 months after the beginning of the year, when you look at management and, you know, if there's mayoral changes, then that's a great time to say, great, what the mayor signed on the contract, was there a contract signed with a contract operator? Let's review it and see if it's still legit. If so, great, maybe redo the contract, maybe have the new mayor sign for it. Those are all things, we don't get involved in the management or anything like that, but these are the kind of discussions that we would encourage you to have. And reach out to the state with any questions and just say, I don't understand this rule, or I don't understand what this permit means. Right now, you have a permit and a fact sheet, and those are all things that Casey has, those are all things the city has. I know the city has multiple copies, but probably just having a group of people at some point at the city get together with your contract operator and your engineer, and everybody be on the same page for how that utility is going to work. Who's going to touch what samples? Who's going to be here recording flows? That will make us feel better as a state agency to know that not only do they have a level 2, but the city is also competent in looking at their budgets and planning long-term. So I can provide help. I'm a licensed operator. I provide training all the time. when we see places that already have existing staff that meet requirements, like Casey as a professional level 2 operator, that education, you guys should pull out of her, because you're paying for her services. You pull that information out, you would have her train your staff in a perfect world. If you did not have a level 2, that's where I would come in at the state and say, you don't even have anybody really certified. We're gonna start from ground zero and I'm gonna teach you. But because you guys already have that, the state kind of expects that a lot of that training and transfer of information to occur by your professional operator that you hire. That's one of the things that you, when you hire a professional operator, those are some of the things you should get. So I would recommend communication between whoever your contract operator is and the board or the council. I didn't know if there was any questions or anything. I wanted to, kind of let you guys know that you're not in trouble. I was here, swung in, found out, there's some management changes. When there's management changes, it's a great time to go back and look at the wastewater plant and goes, who's responsible for what? Who signed what agreement with who? And make sure that utility's looked at. We're looking at all the wastewater treatment plants across the state, and to be honest with you, we're so thin by giving out as much help and support we can. Like I said, there's only me on this side of the mountains and there's one other person on the west side. And I'm based out of Spokane. I have an office in Spokane. I also have an office in Union Gap, which is Yakima. But I live in Clarkston. So, and then the state gives me a car and they say, go save the world. But if you guys have any questions at all, I've given my business card with Jerry. You guys have a permit manager whose name is Kim Prysock. Kim Prysock, I would anticipate within the next year, your permit will probably go under different management. Kim has moved on to a new position, but she hasn't just handed off. She's still with the agency, but she's moved, so she's gonna still hang on to Harrington for a little bit. At some point, she's gonna hand it off to another permit manager in our office. So that would be something, just knowing that, or at least knowing that, hey, somebody from our office said that. That's something that leadership and you guys should be thinking about in the new year, is making sure that, reach out to us, make sure your contacts are still good, and moving forward. You guys have, from my understanding, you guys applied for some monies, and it looks like you guys need some monies coming in for some improvements at the wastewater plant. My only advice there is include everybody, not only just your engineer and the council person, but I would include everybody on council, everybody in the community at these meetings to let know what's going on. And always include your operator, whether it's Casey, the contract operator, or it's one in-house. That person should always be in those meetings with the engineer and consultant. These are the people that are gonna run the new stuff that your consultant is telling you guys to have. So it's really important that they're involved in that communication. But with that, other than just kind of saying, hey, I'm with ecology, nobody's in trouble, I don't have the authority to make you in trouble. But I'm the wastewater guy that'll help you if needed. But I expect you guys lean on your contract operator. In the eyes of the state, she's competent in what she's able to do. She's credentialed, she's a professional level 2. Use that service to its fullest.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Andy,
Thanks for coming.
thanks for coming out too, and
Yeah.
you've helped us for many years. Is there any, trepidation or, looking, you said you don't get, ecology doesn't really get into the management of it, but like with the contract, like level 1, right? I mean, I know we use Casey, and Casey's, in the past, when Scott was here, they worked together. I don't know how it worked with our most recent person, but, can you have a contract group 1 or level 1 as well?
Yeah.
If you need, I mean, if we can't, you said
Yeah.
for 6 months, like if we try to find the right person, but maybe we find, someone who has a level 1 that knows our system.
Yeah, so let's say you already got a contract operator too, 6 months goes by, you still can't find anybody, and ecology says, hard time, we need one now. We don't care if you pay for one, we don't care if it's a volunteer, but we want a level 1, we don't care how you get it. So if that means you gotta pay for somebody, or you have one in-house,
But that would be someone that would be here daily.
that would be daily.
Correct.
Yeah, that would, to be honest with you, that level 1 is gonna be doing the majority of,
You would have to have a level 1 certificate.
yeah. Once you get an operator, you're on the job for 3 months, you go take the test, after 12 months of being employed, you're level 1. So you just need somebody that's gonna be committed to be here. And then you're great, as long as you have a contract with level 2 to oversee the management. Doesn't mean, we don't say she has to be on site for 40 hours, 60 hours. We don't do it by the hour. We do it by reasonable amount in charge to stay in compliance, to be honest with you. There's a lot of other legal words, but as long as you're in compliance, you'd be surprised, you get a lot of rope. Once you start having violations, and we start going, well, who's doing what? Now we're gonna say, no, you're gonna be there every single day. Right? But no, you can totally hire, we don't care how you get it. And if you can't get one in 6 months, we would like to know during that 6 months what your plan is. This isn't a requirement by any means. I would just say it's
Just
good
good
friendship and
communication.
relationships. When you get a transfer in the new year of any kind of leadership, at least reach out and say, hey, we understand this is rules, but we're trying to play by them, we're having a hard time. Any help you can provide, help.
Just for clarification, so somebody that doesn't have a license 1, is just a maintenance worker here, they are not allowed to take any samples?
No, that's false. So anybody in the world can go and grab a sample.
Okay,
And they can even go and record off of an instrument, a number that goes on our monthly report.
okay,
It needs to be blessed by your contract operator. That contract operator needs to know who's touching the sample, are the samples being done, where are the numbers coming from? She reviews this stuff to see if there's any health issues within the treatment. But when she signs it, it's under her name, level 2.
and currently that's Miss Casey, or Casey?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. So you don't have to have a license at all
okay,
to do the sampling. Our goal at ecology, we would honestly be tickled to death, and this is from Andy O'Neill and Lindy United Ecology. We'd be tickled to death if you get a level 1 to reside in Harrington
yeah,
and be here for 10, 20 years. And even though our requirement says level 2, farm that out. Long term, that's gonna save you a lot of money and headache, because it's not a very complicated system. But you guys are in good shape. I'm not trying to scare you or anything. I'm just saying, I'm here to help you guys. I don't want you to go out and hire somebody for fear of being in trouble with our office. We want you to like back up and go, you know what, let's think about how we're gonna approach this. Share that plan with us, and we'll be on board to help you.
No, it's good, and I think just that short amount of time, there's clarifications in there that at least myself,
See, I talked to our enforcement guys, people in Spokane. I said, hey, I'm gonna go to this meeting, I'm gonna tell them this. You support me? And they're like, 100%. So our rules and laws say you will have a level 2 and a level 1. We know you're not gonna get it. It's gonna be hard to find that person. So, silly grin test, we'll give you 6 months after the new year. Just give us a plan. Work with us. Let us know what's going on. When there's silence between a town and a regulatory agency, our ears go up. So,
I think that's based on our history too, right? We
Yeah.
had some violations, so we were under a little bit more scrutiny than,
yeah,
you said, you gave us the rope and we did hang ourselves a little bit,
a little
so.
bit, yeah,
thank you for that clarification.
yeah.
yeah, appreciate it.
Why is our plant based on a level 2 operator?
That,
Just a question for clarification.
I'm gonna defer that one to your engineer. And that's me kicking the can. Your treatment plant is unique, to say the least. There's only one Harrington type of treatment plant that I go to. But that doesn't mean that it's wrong, it just means you have a lot of things going on there. And because of that, and because you had an aerator that made mixed liquor, brown bubbly water, level 2, that's activated sludge.
You got them, so we're aeration, and that's why we're at a level 2.
Yep.
So we, you know, Andy, we have Andy Tom, who's our engineer, and you know, you've been out here with us with Andy before. So we're in the process of this new plant to some degree. So is it possible, I mean, you might not even know how much of it you know, but, or would Andy tell us, like, is the next plant we do, is it potentially able to be a level 1 plant? Or does it depend on the scope or what the apparatuses are out there that's gonna elevate that to a?
And that's something, I don't know,
Okay.
that's something Andy needs to talk about, but this is where the communication from your professional operator is, whether it's an in-town or contract, that person is at the table, because they will understand how the complexity. You're not getting a brand new treatment plant. The money that you have are for various improvements of existing infrastructure.
Yeah, sorry.
That will not change.
Okay.
My understanding, you will remain a level 2.
Okay.
they're gonna aerate the settling cells, is my understanding. And you go right back to group two, cause you're aerating the settling cells.
Although some lagoons are aerated,
Yeah, those are great discussions to have, and those are the ones that you definitely involve your operator, your engineer, and somebody at the state, and then somebody raises the question, does this make it any harder for us to get an operator into the town? We don't, ecology doesn't want you to bring in a fancy technology that requires a level 4 operator.
When Kim has said that before, when she's visited our site, that we said is unique, it's also very intensive, right? Like, it's labor intensive, and it does sometimes require two people to do certain things that we have currently, and I think Tom is aware of that, and is trying to make it better, if that's the right word for it, or more feasible or economical
more
and all, you know,
efficient maybe, too.
Yeah.
efficient, yeah.
It sounds like more efficiency here.
But I'm here, I'm a face that's not going away, and so she's not far, but she's gonna take some new responsibilities in the new year, so I would expect a new permit manager. But any questions you have, or even just talking to anybody with any ecology, feel free to call, text, email, and just go, who is this person? So-and-so sent me this, and I'll let you know who they are, what angle they're coming from.
Is it gonna be good or bad?
For me, I'll give it all good, it's always good. No, it's all good, we really want a partnership, ecology really does. Before I came to ecology, when I managed a wastewater treatment plant, I was always nervous of ecology, and I swore I'd never go to work for them at the state. But times are changing a little bit, and some of the younger people that have come in, we really want to partner. If we want to leverage resources, we want you to be successful. That's why I'm saying pump the brakes. Don't waste your money on satisfying any silly requirements. You're in good shape there. You've got a level 2. But let's plan smart in the new year. Let's look at contracts. Let's look at who's touching what. And make sure that the value you get is beneficial, all the way around. And that goes for the contractor, that goes for the owner, it goes for everybody.
Okay.
But ecology's here to help, and we try not to get involved in management, but definitely will help you anyway and process stuff.
Do we have his number on speed dial?
I haven't,
Okay.
have contacted Andy.
Me too.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Andy,
So, thank
appreciate you
guys
making the
for
trip.
giving my time, letting me talk to you.
I'd like to pause at the next item and switch this over. I
Okay.
think.
Casey, you're here with us.
Yep, so I wanted to clarify my role and talk about who's gonna do what going forward, and I thought this was the best way to do it, so that everybody hears the same story. It's not
I agree.
somebody telling somebody something else, and vice versa. So, there's things that need to be done daily, tests that need to be done out at the wastewater plant. I can tell you right now, those haven't been being done, which is leaving holes on our DMR. So like I filed the DMR today, and there were violations on there because I didn't have numbers. Not only have they not been done, I don't think they've been being done by people that worked here. So, when I file a DMR, I sign under penalty of perjury that I'm certifying that all these things were being done. So when you guys bring on new people, like he was saying, any warm body can do this. But I am only as good as the information that I'm given by somebody, and obviously there's budget issues. I can't be here every single day, Not only do I not have the time or even the, ability to come down here every day, it would be economically ridiculous. So we have to find that happy medium between keeping within the budget and having somebody do things that I know that I can trust to do them. So Scott has agreed, as he did in the past, to work for me. He is a level 1, and so he could work under my contract and until someone else is found, and then, we could do it the way that we were doing it when Devin and Derek were here. Or other options. I mean, it's a very easy option. Scott's here, he knows what to do. So, I don't know, feedback?
Is this a daily, could you walk us through a typical week?
So yes, we have to talk about the water too, because you guys don't have a water operator either. So I have my water license, so obviously I'm gonna fall into that role so you don't get in trouble with health. So there's daily things to do on both sides. Reading the wells, numbers. At the wastewater plant, there's pH that has to be done daily. There's dissolved oxygen levels, there's flow data that has to be written down. It's probably about an hour a day, maybe a little bit more than that. There's weekly samples that need to be taken and delivered to the lab. And then there's monthly monitor wells that get done once a month. On the water side, there's different samples that need to be done, and so Scott can probably chime in more about his real daily role. And then we need to talk about maintenance. What happens if problems come up? And, you know, as you know, now my wastewater contract is 600, the water is 400, and then we're just doing hourly for everything else. That's kind of what worked before with Scott. It works for me. If it works for you guys, that's great. But the things have to be done. If they have to be done, we're gonna do them. It's not gonna be like, we can't spend the money to do this. No, it has to be done. So we have to find that happy ground where everybody knows that it's just the way it has to be for now, you know, until somebody else comes along.
What's that? Only answers to you.
Yeah, he's not employee of the city, so you don't have to pay him medical or, you know. Yeah, exactly. Or if you guys are like, if you don't wanna talk to him, you talk to me and I'll straighten him out, or vice versa, or whatever, so. Yeah, well, I mean,
But,
yes.
but the city could also contract with Scott like we contract with you as a level one, if that was in the city's, I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, again, your interest,
well, yeah, because I have to pay,
right,
I'm gonna get a 1099 for the entire thing, so I'm gonna have to pay taxes on the money that you give me, that I turn around and give to him, and I gotta, so, I mean, yes, if you wanna do it that way, that's fine. You guys can hire Scott as your level one and pay him whatever his hours are, and you can continue to pay me for my level two. And that would definitely be one way that it could be done.
Question.
Then you'd be in charge of him.
I'm out of here in 2 weeks, so it's not me.
So, do you want me
I'm
to
a
be in
short
charge?
timer. No, and I've worked with you for a while, right? I mean, obviously the contract that you have started when Dylan was the mayor, and then I inherited it, and you and I worked together. So, I mean, we have it budgeted. It's not a matter of dollars in terms of the last 2.5 or 3 years. We've been operating under this, because we had to have a level two with working with Kim to have that in place. So we have, from that aspect, we have that budgeted. So, whether or not we pay you directly or pay through Scott, I mean.
That's fine, but I have been told to mind the dollars.
Oh.
And while I get that, the things still need to be done. And they weren't being done, not by him, by other people. So, you know, the town gets an employee and they immediately wanna kick me to the curb because they have an employee, and I get that. But if your employee isn't doing the right stuff, that's a real problem for me.
Well, you
You
said
know.
it's your name.
Well, yeah, and,
It's
you know,
your license that's at stake, so.
I feel like, Derek, can we say names? I feel like your previous employees needed more training than they were allowed to have. And, you know, that was a problem.
Sure.
Said Casey, you found several violations. How many did you find? What was the
Oh,
nature
there
of
was
them?
just missing daily numbers. I mean, the guys weren't here.
From
They
last
didn't
week.
do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's nothing major, but I mean, I don't know how big a missing pH violation is. Is one worse than another one, or is it all just like, you're getting a violation and that's all there is to it?
I can real quickly, what it does is, you know, when we see operators come and go, management come and go, we're always gonna see little blips in numbers, we get it. And that may be a great time for me to be here, is, you know, we're gonna see a couple blips, and those blips aren't anything to do with the water quality. What they have to do with who's on first, who's on second. Those kind of are the bigger issues. Whose job was it? Well, I didn't know I had to do it. Those are the things that we wanna flush out early, That's why I'm saying, maybe not be in a fast hurry, you know. She has a different angle, he's got a different, everybody has a different angle. Mine from ecology, I'm not worried about getting a level 1 tomorrow. I'm more interested in everybody on council coming up with a plan that says, this is how we want this utility to be ran. Do we have buy-in from everybody? Yes. That means we contract a level 2, we hire our own level 1, and we provide them in-house training, something like that.
If
We-
they were to
we
hire
mostly
someone
don't.
that was like, say mechanically minded or something, that would be a better value, and then let that person work for a year and get their level 1 eventually. And
Learn that second, learn the
Yeah.
wastewater
Y-
stuff
Yeah, as a
additional.
secondary thing, you know,
Maybe.
level 2 operators, they can go and make a lot of money other places. The minute they get their license, they're gonna bounce, you know, that, cause they can. And so it's a problem. You're better off, like Andy said, hiring someone who's more interested in
Well,
staying in the town and, you know, working from that angle, and then eventually they get their license, you know.
from our standpoint, I grew up in a small town, I grew up in Toulouse, I was on city council, kindergarten through high school, you know, I get it. The thing that we really wanna get across is that we want the right person for your community. We're not looking to satisfy some whack or some, you know, legal requirement. We want you to find somebody in-house that's got some vested interest in this community. They might not even like wastewater. I don't really care. Wastewater is gonna be this much of their job. They're gonna have Department of Health, they're gonna have Labor and Industries, they're gonna have snow plow, grave digging. So don't look to hire an ecology-driven minded individual that's really good in wastewater. They will bounce. They will bounce fast, they'll make 4 times as much money and only have to do wastewater and not plow streets. What you wanna find is you wanna find somebody that, you know, even if it took you a year and a half to get him a license, but you guys stood behind that guy, we'll stand behind you all day long.
Who would provide the training?
Normally, that training, well, local on-site, like pH here, sample here, that should come from your contract operator, that's what you're paying her for, you're paying for long-term, right? So when she leaves, you wanna be able to reap the benefits of her expertise, so let's
Gotcha.
feed that in-house. Now, when it comes to take the exam, she'll do some, or whoever your contract is, I'd recommend putting them in front of me, or a specific class that's geared specific towards the exam.
We paid for those before too.
Yeah.
But, so real quick though, and Andy, you've been a good resource for us, but the context though is we are, I don't know if we still are, we were under double secret probation. And so, whatever that thing with Kim was, we were under the thumbnail. And it wasn't as, I don't wanna say like, you got, I mean, I think you support us, but you said you're not enforcement. We got the letters, we got the demand letters. We missed a DMR report, and it was like it was a pH and something, I mean, minuscule, and they brought the book and said, you gotta pay this money now. And we did, I mean, we had to, I mean, so, I think there's a balance, and contextually, for at least the people that are staying on here, that we have, I mean.
You're gun shy.
A little
about
bit, because
dealing with them.
ecology, I mean,
Right.
you were here with those
Yeah.
meetings, I mean,
Yeah.
and Kim is a nice person, but then Kim, it went out of Kim's hands and it went to the AG's office, and it went to the enforcement guy. I mean, I met with Kim's boss, and it was like, whoa, wait a second.
Well, not
And
only that, they're like, oh, yeah, no, you guys are fine, and then the next minute it's like
But it was-
slammed back,
but
and
it was
you're like, hey,
minuscule.
what just happened? I
And
mean,
again, that might, like you said, in normal times, those are blips and you get it. I just still don't know if we're under that.
I'm
Whatever-
speaking from your operation requirement within your permit. I'm not even talking about the water quality. I'm talking about staffing
Yeah.
the thing.
So that's all, I'm just saying too, for
There's a-
context, that again, we weren't, for a long time, we were normal, and then we weren't normal, so then we had this extra scrutiny
Right.
that really came down on us.
You weren't normal, you just
Flew under the wire.
were under the wire,
Sure.
along with a lot of other communities.
Right, but I mean, again, they let us operate, and we did that fine, and then until we missed it.
That's where I would say this, don't take Andy's word on it. I'm representing a full state agency, just don't take my word on it. Take my recommendation. First of the year, you call up, you talk to Kim,
Yeah.
and go, Kim, Andy was here right around Christmas time, he said this stuff, let's move forward. And Kim will say, great, you have a new permit manager, it is this person. That learning curve's gonna be high. We need to keep the communication going between everybody so that we are off everybody's radar, making clean water, and only at the treatment plant this long, because we're plowing snow and doing all these other things.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, thank
I have a
you.
question for Casey, if I may. To clarify, I'm trying to wrap my head around how labor intensive is this? And first of all, the wells you're talking about, water well, are those test wells we're talking about?
Our drinking water
Drinking
source.
well, okay, drinking
Mhm,
water.
Yeah, so two separate things, you know,
Right.
they each have their own, daily, weekly, monthly duties that have to be done. I'm averaging, say, you know, an hour a day, and maybe like another day where he would spend 3 hours. I'm guessing, Scott, I mean, Scott's been here for 30 years, he knows way more about this town than I do, you know?
Right.
I know about other things more than he does, and he knows about things more than I do, so.
This record keeping, daily record keeping, is it, excuse me, write down in a book or keep a log?
Yep, we have the
Yeah, we
logbook
gotta-
right there you could look at, but yeah, the
Well, this is
operator,
the sewer log, but we also have a water log book that I write in every day.
Okay, where I'm going with this is how labor intensive, we have to hand deliver this to you, not daily, but we said once a
Weekly.
week? Weekly, once a
weekly,
week.
usually somebody
Okay.
brings the samples to the lab, and then,
Okay.
like Scott just brought me all that stuff yesterday so I could do our monthly report.
Okay,
So he drove that up
alright.
and left it for me. You know, I will come down as well and get that stuff, but, I mean, obviously, if somebody's coming to town, they can drop it off.
Or
You
you-
know, if Scott takes the samples and one of you guys is going to town, you can bring it to me.
Anybody can bring it to you?
Anybody can bring it to me.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just sign the little chain of custody and that'll be fine.
Yeah, you just gotta sign your life away.
I'm a little twisted because when I got here last week and I went out to the wastewater plant, all the machinery was bone dry, the little pH meter and stuff. Nobody's been out there for a while, and it's a mess.
And I spent 4 hours cleaning just the sampling equipment, trying to find all the sampling equipment. I didn't find it all.
So that pissed me off because I was getting provided numbers that were obviously
And did you,
falsified.
Nathan, do you know anything about Monitor Well 2, the pump's out?
Say that again.
The Monitor Well number 2, the pump is out, I believe.
That's the pump I believe that we just replaced.
We just paid $9,000, we just approved it on the last.
For the Monitor Well, but it's not hooked up.
No, I didn't know that it was hooked up. Like Justin said, we just paid a bill for that, so no, I did not know
Plug
that.
it in.
I don't think it's even there. There's an old pump there.
There-
Just my opinion, I don't know.
No, I
Andy-
totally get that. I would,
Andy Holme,
should be one there, being that we
Andy
paid for it.
Holme is going to, I gotta call him, I guess, or the city needs to call him and find out where the pump's at. Because the cord, I pray to God that they didn't have nothing to do with it, but the cord's cut off and wrapped around the,
So the physical pump is missing, there's nothing in the
no,
hole?
the physical pump, if it's the right one, is in the hole, but the wiring for that physical pump has been cut off. Now, I don't know if Andy Holme did that, or what? Plug your ears, Andy.
This is the new pump we just had installed,
Correct.
and the wire is cut.
May-
What it
Maybe.
sounds like. I'll talk to you
Maybe
about.
possibly it hasn't been installed yet. I'm hoping, I'm praying,
Well, I'm not because we paid for it.
Well, yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
so does it, in your opinion, does it look like sabotage, vandalism? Or can we rule that out?
I don't, if
Who the
you
heck
get
was
a, if you got a bill from Holme Pump and Electric and they installed the pump, then the wire's not connected to the pump, not plugged into the monitoring or to the connection where it's supposed to go. There's supposed to be 2 cables plugged in there. Monitors the wet seal in the pump. That's what happened to the last one. The wet seal went out, so it shorted out the motor, so.
They physically get clarification, physically cut, ripped apart, separated, or
Well,
just not plugged in?
You know, there's no wire coming out of the pit, it's a 15-foot deep pit, and it's supposed to be plugged into the electrical panel, and there's a wire that's coiled up, hanging on the electrical panel. and it's been cut off. But it looks old, like old wire to me, so I'm not gonna say, I don't think, I mean, you might have paid for the pump, but did Andy's,
We paid 4,000 something for the pump and another 4,000
Labor.
something for something
Installation.
else.
and it was, do you know that for sure that it was installed yet?
I just know we approved a bill last time.
I had word that it was installed, yes, that's why I asked the council to approve the
Okay,
bill.
You saw it installed?
No, I did not see it installed.
Do you have
When did you
pictures of it?
notice?
Next time you're out there, take pictures.
Well, I gotta go out there tomorrow, so I'll take some pictures of what I see.
I'll go look at it with you.
There's two plugins, and the thing was shut off. I turned it back on and nothing happened, so.
Okay.
I kinda wonder, what that pump does is actually, it pumps, it's a pitless adapter pump, and it pumps up 2-inch line, it goes out to the second cell. All the underground water around the two aeration cells gets pumped out there and out to the second cell.
Okay.
There's a release valve that goes out to the crick. Nah, I have to check and see if that's open, cause it's not supposed to be open.
Okay.
But I'll go out there tomorrow and give you an update.
Question, when did you first note the irregularity in the wiring, Scott?
Day before yesterday. First time I was out there,
So Monday.
yeah, Monday. And it looks like old wiring hanging there, but if you hang it in caca, it's gonna look like old wiring in just a few days.
Is it like bare live wires?
No,
Oh, okay,
Not-
that's good.
no. It's not plugged in, so it can't be live, but
So, I mean, what do you guys wanna do? You know, do you want Scott to work for me? Do you wanna think about it? I mean, we're kind of like under the gun. We have to figure something out, at least for the short term.
We have no choice at the current moment.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
My
that's the way I
opinion
see it.
is that Scott obviously knows I mean, everybody
Yeah.
here knows that Scott knows that plant well, and if you're willing, I mean, I talked to you about it, and you said, maybe.
yeah.
You know, it
I'm-
sounds- and
I'm
it's-
willing to help out, I'm not gonna be able to do it full-time, but.
Right.
And depends on what happens, like, for instance, I know I'm gonna have to plow some snow eventually, but I have to get the
Okay, how are
truck.
we gonna handle that for hours? I mean, before I had him do another job, shoot, what was it? You did a water line repair or something, that's something we need to discuss. How are we gonna do these maintenance issues, you know? Things that come up that are outside of the daily, and really outside of the scope of the service that I do as well. I mean, snow plowing doesn't fall into my license.
I think
I
that,
don't care if I put it on my bill, but I don't wanna get any pushback for it, you know, from, if it has to be done, it has to be done,
It would be
so,
cleaner if it was separated.
yeah,
I mean, we could have,
I mean, I think we should
Scott-
contract with Casey for the services that Casey can provide us. Casey is not in the business to provide contract city maintenance work, as well, right? I mean.
well, and I was gonna say, one thing we did look at in Lind before we hired, cause I do the exact same thing for Lind that I do here. And one thing we looked at was contracting out everything. Now luckily, we've found a nice city employee for now, but it's the same story there. It's every 6 months, somebody new, and you know, and then I'm like, okay, this, you know, person's not really that great, but whatever. But we were looking at contracting out like the lawn mowing, you know, and having a service come in and do that. A service could come in and do the snow plowing. A service could do a lot of things. I mean, your local mechanic can service the trucks, you know, so that takes some of the pressure off hiring someone that's just gonna, you know, screw stuff up worse than they do any good. And that person could be him. It could be anybody, but you know, you could contract out all the city services.
No, right.
That may be what you have to do. I mean, this is gonna be a hard place to get a quality employee that's gonna stick around for a long time.
From a bookkeeping or audit perspective, I think it's just cleaner to just have Casey do what Casey does. And if we, if we're gonna use Scott for snowplow, then we, you know, his check is then split up for snow plowing and then for water repair maintenance.
Yeah.
Or for, you know, treatment. I mean, I don't care, I mean, I don't have an opinion if we were to pay Casey to have Scott do that work through her. That is, but I mean, I think,
I'm with you. The reason I did it that way was because he had some,
that's fine.
when he retired, there's weird stuff.
Transition period.
Yeah, whatever
Yeah.
that is, and you can't
Retirement
work.
stuff,
and
yeah.
You can work, but you can't work for this, you know, you guys know. So we did it that way to,
I guess for, you know, to be honest, and maybe we talk about it openly, it's up to Scotty, but we don't know what that target, you retired, how much can you make and how, I mean, there's a
Well,
limit.
if I make over, I can't think, 18,000 a year, I gotta pay taxes on it.
Right.
Pretty,
And two, like Justin
yeah, you
suggested.
won't be able to do it all, that's for sure, you know?
If we hire him directly, are we entitled, benefits and all that, I mean, how does that figure into it? Do we hire him full-time, part-time?
I think you just do the same thing you do with Casey. We
As
know
a contract
Casey's
labor.
not an employee, she's a contractor, and we have a 1099, and we would do the same, again, we define what we're gonna have services that Scott or anybody else are gonna do, whether it's Scott does snowplow on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and, I'm just gonna use Denise as an example, that she does
Yeah.
it Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I mean, that's what you, I mean, if you do it that way, but,
Well, there you go, perfect. I pay you to do it.
but from an audit standpoint, that's gonna be a lot cleaner than trying to say, we paid Casey all this stuff, and then it was for all these other, well,
Yeah.
Casey doesn't provide those things.
Yep, I would
No, I
agree.
was just trying to be like, let's get this done, you
Sure.
know, and,
Well,
and cover our
understand.
butts.
Thank you, I mean, that's, well, I guess we first have to ask Mr. McGowan if he wants to go that, I mean,
Sounds, I mean, I took that as he would.
okay.
I mean, we can ask him again.
Like, let's not push Scott into more than he's gonna want to, you know?
Well,
I don't know
And
what
that's
he
where I
wants to
left
do.
it when I talked to him. I
Yeah.
asked him if he was willing. Those are two big things that we knew we needed were or
Right.
three, I guess. Clean water, wastewater, and then at some point we will get some snow.
Yeah,
But I
So,
think
Yeah.
wastewater, snow plows, you might find those are easier, I think,
Sure.
to identify than somebody with a level one water and a level one, or group one water, level one wastewater treatment plant. Scott, I mean, decide if you wanted to do all those things, but at least if we're hiring, if we're continuing our contract with Casey, she needs to know that somebody's gonna be here, and we can then at least guarantee that that's something that Scott will do. The other stuff, I guess, is a determination, but,
Sure.
somebody, I mean, again, trying to find somebody else to drive a snowplow, I think would be easier for us than Scott walking in, knowing our wastewater treatment plant and knowing our water
Water.
system.
Yep.
So,
I would use Scott as a say, okay, we just got a foot of snow and we got nobody, can you do it? You know, it's not gonna be like, you're working here 4 hours a day, every day. It's not gonna be like that.
on-call
It's gonna be like-
basis.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be like, can you give us a hand? Or
Scott, are
can
you,
come help
you're
our
definitely comfortable with the wastewater and the water stuff of doing those duties?
at this
For a
point,
short-
the only,
for-
the only thing that really worries me is I talked to Jerry the other day, and there's monthly water samples that he has no record of since June.
Well, I got on, what is it, Century?
Century?
Yeah, we've been paying for them, so I know they've been.
There
doing-
was one done November 9th, there's a record in
Of a monthly bacteria sample,
Do you take
there.
them
Of
to
a
Davenport?
check, yeah.
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 Why don't you just bring them to the lab?
Well, we could.
I mean, you can bring them with the, I don't really care one way or the other, it doesn't matter, but, I mean,
But my concern is, every one of those that didn't get done is a major violation of the health department.
Well,
Those have to
But,
be
but
done
going
weekly.
forward though, so
monthly.
let's put that, that's an issue that.
That's fine,
But I mean, we're trying to figure out now, like, as of today, we have an ecology representative here and we have our contract to operator, and we're trying to figure out what the plan is for next steps.
You're not gonna get a major monitoring violation if they didn't do the samples. There will be a monitoring violation, but it isn't gonna be like a fine or anything like that.
But again,
There was turnover, there was
we
personnel. that
paid for
weren't-
those things, so we might not have them here or right here, but
Well, yeah, I mean, they should be on Century,
if
we
you're
could look it
paying
up right now.
for a monthly water, bacteria sample, I took them to Davenport tested them, sent them back to me as satisfactory or unsatisfactory, to Jerry, or Bunny, or Janice, or whoever it was. They're a little green slip. Same thing, she does the same thing, she sends them back to us.
That's once a month, Scotty? So those could go to Casey?
Yeah, or they can keep going to Davenport, and if
I mean,
that's
if
closer and
everything-
easier
Either
for
way,
you,
I
doesn't
can take
matter.
them, I can take them to her, but
What he's saying is they need to be done, and they weren't.
Right.
So I think he's got
But-
concern that he's gonna get,
But if you're taking this,
Well, but there's not gonna be, I mean,
I don't wanna get in trouble for something I didn't do.
Right.
I
no,
don't
that's what I
think
was
there's
just gonna
gonna
say,
be
that's-
repercussions
That's
for
behind
you
us, so
from
it's,
that.
it's about going,
Yeah.
what we're doing as of, today's the 15th of the month, so what's happening from December 15th going forward is only concerned, that's what you're responsible for, right? I mean,
what this boils down to is streamlining, ladies and gentlemen, and the best possible, most efficient way for the city. And we gotta make a decision tonight which way we're gonna go.
and in my opinion, where we're at, if Scott is willing to do that going forward, then I think that's, I mean, in my opinion, that's our best option right now. I mean,
And what I was trying to ascertain, sorry, I didn't mean to
No.
interrupt. Out of Casey, and would you please, if you wish, or mind, how do you pronounce your last name?
Manji.
Manji, okay. So everybody knows that. So,
Monzi,
Ms.
did you
Manji, I'm trying, in a typical week, you got about 8 to 10 hours that is an absolute for that sewer, or more hours?
Sewer and water combined,
Would be
and
8
that
to 10
sounds,
hours a week.
that sounds high.
Okay.
What, you know, obviously, you're only collecting monitor well samples once a month, and that takes a few hours in itself. So, yeah, I mean, if you're averaging hours, then you're probably right on. Some weeks you might have very little to do, but a warm body has to walk that plant daily and write down initials in that book daily, because that, I have to turn that operator log into Ecology as well. I have to take a
Right.
picture of it, and if we don't have, I'm not talking about Saturdays and Sundays, I don't care about that, but if we don't have a record of someone going down there and doing these things, then we're
There's a
in
problem.
trouble for that. That is one of the requirements that which is kind of a unique requirement for this facility. I don't have to submit my operation logs for any other town. So I don't know why that's like that,
Probation.
Double secret.
maybe.
Double secret probation.
Super probation.
I don't know what double secret probation is, but
Okay.
okay.
so do we wanna,
Joe had a
We have a question.
okay,
So that book, or those books need to get to you
He just brings them into me once a month, yeah,
once a month?
yeah,
Okay, and where are you physically located?
cheap.
Cheney.
But I'm the operator for Lind, I go all around, I go to Wilbur, I'm their operator as well, so I travel around quite a bit.
I go to Spokane twice a week, so.
Oh, okay.
You've got a courier.
Yeah,
Well, if you could, do you go, oh man, do you go by Harrington much? I mean, could you pick them up on a
typically, no.
I don't.
It's not really on my route, but, I mean, if it got to the point where Scott, maybe he wasn't feeling well, he was going on vacation, or, then I would just come down and get samples, I mean, like we did last week, you know, it needed to be done, and came down and got them, so. I try not to do that, because it's like 4-hour round trip for me minimum,
Okay,
and
what
that
hap-
is costing you money that is a little unnecessary
Right.
for me to just drive down here and get samples, but.
It's cheaper to me hauling than it is
Exactly.
for her to come and get them.
Once a month is the water samples?
Once a month is the water, weekly is wastewater, and there are some tests that are monthly on wastewater as well.
Oh, you have them? Okay.
I just wanna add one little thing.
Might have
The contract, that I've seen that Casey has with the city, it's relatively old, in my mind, it's from 2017, I think. That has a checklist attached to it that talks about roles, responsibilities, expectations.
That was also only supposed to be a 6-month contract.
Oh.
It
At
never
the
got
time.
renewed, to your point, right?
Yeah. You guys make decisions however you wish. I think that these are important decisions to make, and, I think it's really important, maybe go back and look at that contract and make sure everything is met, because if I leave here thinking and knowing that you got a level 1, you got a level 2, honestly, you're gonna be off our radar. There'll be no reason to send us anything that how you're gonna do long-term planning, because you just solved it tonight. 3 months from now, he may no longer wanna continue doing this. We had too much snow this year, he's done. So what's your plan? I don't really wanna come, I will, I don't wanna be back here in 3 months going, okay, we had this discussion before. You know, I just don't, I caution you to make big decisions this evening, is all I'm saying.
I think there's a lot of details to be worked out too. I mean, I definitely feel like we have a general plan, but there's, to what you're saying, there's a lot of details to be worked out.
Well, currently, Scotty, you doing it, we're fine on the record as of this minute.
Okay,
I mean, I think it's a fine plan moving forward, but I don't want you to hire somebody and then say to me and Scott, well, we got somebody now, if they're level 2, fine. We'll both go our ways, but I don't wanna get into a situation like I got in with the other ones, where it's like, well, these are our guys now, and they're gonna do it, and I'm like, but are they doing it? You know, like, I need to know, I'm not gonna be as lax as, I've been burned too many times, not by this town, but I've been by others as well, to where they hired somebody and they just trusted them and it wasn't getting done, and then they are there for a few months and then I gotta come in and clean up the mess. And I don't like doing that, it sucks. So we wanna make sure that it's getting done correctly.
And I showed those guys everything,
Well,
everything I know.
those guys aren't here to defend themselves, so.
Yeah.
okay. Well,
And-
Do we have to make a decision on this, or does Scott?
no, I think we have a general plan. I think we're gonna have to make a decision that's more detailed as far as Casey and Scott both go, but
I think we should definitely rewrite or revisit the contract, like
I
Andy
agree.
said, I think, cause that was done by Dylan, and he had his ideas of what he was gonna do, and
When
No.
does that come up for renewal?
it was just on the month-to-month basis.
Oh, so it's not.
We don't require it.
Yeah,
Ecology
so-
doesn't require it, we don't even look at it.
Would you say, was it an agreement or actual contract?
It's a
Kind of
contract.
the same.
Yeah, it's a
Well,
contract.
but Kim said too, like, she was very adamant, I would say, that we had a checklist that spelled out what we were doing, and then
That was Kim's idea. That's really not required either. It's whatever we come up with. Ecology really doesn't have any business getting involved in our contracts.
That's
So
fine.
that was overstepping their bounds.
again, I just think that we were in vivo,
Yeah.
double secret
They,
probation.
they like to overstep their
No,
bounds.
and they had us upside, I mean, they had us, cause we violated, right? We were a convicted violator, but we, I mean,
I
they,
have an answer. I'm
they,
gonna leave
yeah,
things
we're gonna have to
somewhere
write a document for both. I mean, it's not.
again, that's what we
something
had,
we
we
need a
operated,
motion
I mean, and we,
to keep
so,
Till the
but-
first of the year.
and she was, the point of that checklist was spell out what we're doing, which is, it's beneficial for you and beneficial for the city, so we
It
know
is.
what we're doing and you know what we're doing.
Right.
And then that way, you don't have to worry about if you're, the person that's gonna be providing you that information, if you're comfortable. I mean,
Right.
it's what you, that's why you have those in place, so.
Exactly.
it's not
No,
a
I
bad thing.
totally agree with you. However, I think we should wait until, we're getting a new mayor.
Yeah.
So why do this now?
Right.
And have those discussions
can do it in
freely
the-
without a regulatory person sit here and bounce ideas off. That, I encourage that, I really do, but have that discussion, because you guys are the ones vested.
Well, for the record, I'd like to state that we keep it the same until after the first of the year. As long as Mr. McGowan agrees to it, and Casey, everybody, as you stated earlier, you were fine with status quo. So we're covered that way, and give us a little time to get our ducks in a row.
I agree. You wanna switch
Yeah, and then
over?
Question.
when you guys get somebody else, we'll look at their competency level and decide what we're comfortable having them do and get them trained proper. I don't think those guys were ever, I don't know if they were ever showed anything, down there. I don't know. They said they knew what they were doing, but they clearly didn't, or else they didn't give a damn.
I know, Mr. McGowan or Scotty, he showed them. So
Yeah,
I think there's a
yeah,
little more dynamics.
there was training done, I'm just saying, was it retained? I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, they're not here, so.
Okay. Well, thank you guys again for making the trip. Scotty, thanks for coming in as well. Steven, do
Question.
you want to?
If I may, before we leave this subject,
Sure.
do we have any kind of written document that shows the sampling schedule for water and wastewater?
Right
In
there.
our permit.
You
Yep.
Better frame that.
And does a person sign off every sample? Initial it?
Yeah, they sign a chain of custody that's on the bed sheet. It's right at the bottom, so
I
whoever
fill
brings
out
the
a
sample in.
logbook every day that I go down there, I write stuff in the logbook, and that's turned into ecology every month.
Did he need a break for the?
Yeah. Steven, you want to?
And are there any entries that show deficit to any degree when samples were not taken?
Well, they've been writing down the SM2 sample meter that we're supposed to write down every day. It's been the same number ever since the pump went out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and there was no notation in the logbook that, I made a note of it, that I think the pump's out. And we have to find out.
If you're done or not.
That was last summer? When did the pump go
Well, some of
out?
this stuff I think is probably beyond the scope of us right now, and it probably
Yeah.
more operational and. I mean, cause there's a lot of things that probably Nathan is just finding out, but he's not prepared to.
No, I think we need to obviously talk with everybody involved. Casey and Scott both, but like David said,
Yeah,
at this point we are at least covered.
Right?
Yep, go for it. We're gonna take a brief pause and let Steven change
Finally
everything
got
over.
it fixed. There's a graphics driver update that